Olujumoke Sowole is a seasoned finance and audit professional whose career spans 2 decades across leading multinational organizations. She currently serves as manager, internal audit at Starsight Energy, where she drives governance, strengthens internal controls, and supports strategic decision-making within the renewable energy sector. A fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICANN, an MBA holder, and a member of the Global Institute of Internal Auditors, IIA. Her expertise cut across internal audit, internal controls, financial reporting, risk management, and compliance. Before joining Starsight Energy, Olujumoke built an impressive track record at the Dangote Group, playing pivotal roles across major subsidiaries, including Dangote Projects and Dangote Fertilizer. Her earlier career includes impactful roles at Friesland Capina and Deloitte, one of the Big Four audit firms, where she consistently demonstrated leadership, strong professional competence, and a long-standing dedication to growth and excellence. She is a lover of God, actively serving in the women's ministry. She is also a wellness advocate with a strong interest in holistic well-being. She is happily married and blessed with wonderful children. Ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome Olujumoke Sowole to the 13th Inspiring Change Conference.
Good afternoon, everyone. You may please have your seats. It's such a great honor to stand before you this afternoon at the 13th edition of Inspiring Change Conference. All glory to God Almighty for this wonderful opportunity, because I know moments like this are not by accident. A very big thank you to the convener, our very own First Lady Adesumbo, and to Pastor David Adeoye for your leadership, covering, access, and the priceless support always. All other protocols duly observed. In line with this year's theme, Refire to Advance, I'll be speaking in the area of career. I got my first employment letter, offer letter, as an audit assistant at Deloitte, one of the Big Four audit firms. And way back, it was known as Akitola Williams & Co. April next month marks it 22 years on the career journey, 22 years of deadlines, 22 years of growth, 22 years of learning how to refire again and again. It's been very demanding, it's been very humbling, but it has also been rewarding and transformational. And today, I'll be sharing with you practical moves that help me navigate the seasons, moves that I hope will help you to refire and advance in your career journey. Okay, so before we, go into the strategies, I know you can't wait to hear them, and some of my refire stories. I have plenty, but I'll make them brief. I just want to share some of the silent, battles people face in the career world. The first is chronic burnout. Women having to do so much for too long, expected to be the wife, the mother, employee, support system, caregiver, all at once, without having emotional or physical break. For some, it's motherhood. So many women have children and priorities change. They are no longer who they used to be. Another thing is the financial pressure and survival mode when you find yourself in unfulfilling jobs. But because it's paying the bills, we need to eat, we need to pay the school fees, we need to pay the house rent, so you get yourself stuck, unhappy. And that is one of the battles we face. Another is comparison and shame on social media. You see others, they seem to advance on social media, and you begin to question yourself. You begin to question your choices, your worth, your pace, and thinking you're the only one that is stuck. Then toxic workplace. Toxic workplace because, there are office politics. There is sexual harassment. It is real. Bias. And, dimming your fire, dimming your light, just because you need to survive the culture at work. Due to my internal audit role, I've sat in several exit interviews. And you'll be surprised that most of the reasons women leave, the places of work. On so many occasions, it's not even them leaving the organizations, because I've worked in several very good multinational organizations. Sometimes it's them leaving their bosses, the people who made them feel less of who they are. And it will also shock you, maybe not surprising, that many of us bosses are the same gender like we are, women. Because most of them going through, silent battles also, they lose track of how to handle it, and they begin to extend all these issues, even in the workplace. There was, one of my experiences at the workplace where I had this boss, my lady boss, and one day she asked me she was facilitating a meeting and asked that I take a laptop to the next building and just put it up. She wanted to check on something before attending the meeting. So when I got to the meeting room, I, opened the laptop. And back in the days, when you want to shut down a laptop, it will ask you, are you sure you want to shut down, yes or no? Out of curiosity, I could be very curious, I clicked no at my Oga's laptop. Then I saw a workbook, an Excel workbook that was minimized. And I saw staff matters. Staff matters. We are the staff of my boss. What is the matter with us? Then I saw that for each and every one of us working with her, she had, Excel sheets with our names on it. I saw Jumoke. And what did I see on the records? Daily logins of wrongdoings. Daily logging of wrongdoings, and it will show you the kind of principalities and powers we encounter at work, because when it is appraisal time at year end, and you have all your achievements for the year, hoping that, this might be the year when your achievements will be recognized and probably come with a promotion, pay rise, she's all set with all the wrongs you have done. So way back, we used to think, our boss had good memory, sharp brain. The more you put forward your achievements, the more, she sits behind the computer on a daily basis. I asked her to do this, she didn't. Issues that probably, yes, you might have been wrong way back, but you apologized, you rectified. From the beginning of the year down till December, she brings them forth. And at the end of the day, you get up with low appraisal scores. You get up being stuck in the same position for a long time. If God would mark our transgressions, who will stand? Okay, so there was a season I was stuck, many seasons, just like I said, and I'll be sharing one of them. It had to do with my ICANN exams. My professional colleagues had left. It's so coincidental that we have so many people, a part of the speakers that are writing ICANN, or that wrote ICANN. Okay, so ICANN, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, I started writing my exams way before I left school. And to qualify as a chartered accountant, I had 3 levels to write: the intermediate, PE1, Professional Examination 1, and PE2. And the first 2 levels were walkovers, as in I cleared them at my first attempt. Then I was left with the 3rd level. And at my first attempt, I passed 2 out of 4. Chef T mentioned that, she got tired of, I could relate, because way back for ICANN, it's usually you passing all your 4 papers per level in one sitting. If you don't pass all the 4, you're going nowhere. You might pass 3, fail 1, you're going nowhere. But during my time, we had, 2 sittings. So my first attempt of the final stage that would make me a qualified accountant, I passed 2 out of 4. And I felt, okay, the one I passed, one of them was the subject everybody agreed that it was the most difficult, multidisciplinary case study. And the second one was taxation, my favorite, best subject out of the 4. So I was left with 2 subjects, and I felt the next diet. The exams were written twice in a year. I'm sure it's still the same, but that was over 20 years ago. So my next attempt, by the time I wrote the 2 subjects, I failed 1, I passed 1. The following attempt, the one I failed, I passed it. The one I passed, I failed it. Then it became a rotating pattern for the next 8 times. 2 times in a year. For 4 years, I was stuck writing these 2 subjects. So many people would have given up. And I was unhappy, but I didn't miss any diet. I kept writing the exam. I was discouraged. I kept writing. And at the 9th attempt, in fact, that was my worst prepared, diet. Worst prepared because my wedding was 2 weeks, ahead. And even though I had people, handling the preparations for me, anytime I sat down to read those, 2 subjects, what I would be saying was, what I saw then was wedding gown, bridal train, asoebi. My mind, I could not control my mind to stay and prepare for the exam. But I told God that was the only wedding gift I wanted, and God honored it. I passed, and at the end of the day when I did my induction and I got my certificate, I didn't see she wrote it 8 times before passing. I saw associate chartered accountant. And when you qualify as a chartered accountant, if you're in practice, 5 years later, you'll be a fellow. But, I wasn't in practice, so 10 years later, I became a fellow. And the essence, what the season taught me was that advancements can only be possible if you refuse to quit on yourself. So what have you been doing? What have you been, putting your best at? You are not joking. You try so much, but the result is being delayed to show forth. I'll also give an analogy of a charcoal. We all know charcoal. Thank God we've had a Gen Z session. Maybe they may not know how it operates. But for those of us that have seen how, charcoal is used for cooking, you know that initially when it is lit, when you light it with fire, it burns bright and hot. But after a while, if the charcoal is not maintained, it begins to, grow dim. It begins to be quiet. Sometimes you see ashes, gray, and it remains quiet. And it's as if the fire is gone. But you know that what it needs is oxygen. What it needs is fuel, such that when you blow at it, it comes back up again. And that is how so many of us women are in our career. You have the potential, you've tried so many things, and it seems it's not working well. Okay, so there are 3 moves I'll be sharing that I said that helped me navigate my own season. The first is for you to own it, take responsibility. And so many of the speakers that have, spoken ahead, I've shared several of my, materials here that I want to pass across, but we can never say it too much. You need to take responsibility. That is the foundation. That is the starting point. You begin to refire when you stop blaming yourself and blaming the economy. Stop blaming Tinubu for everything, and you decide to take charge, of whatever situation you found yourself. Yes, we are not disputing the fact that, you've had major setbacks. We are not disputing the fact that you're deep in depression. We're not disputing the fact that, yes, there are so many issues around you. But I tell you, First Lady said the analogy during our opening speech, if they ask, according to my father in the Lord, if they ask every one of you to come here and drop your biggest problem and get back, by the time they ask you to come pick it up again, you won't see yours. Everybody is operating under this bad economy. But, some are finding their way to reach out and go forward. By virtue of the part I play in the women's ministry in my church, I've seen a few cases of people reaching out due to issues they have. Women that I knew, they are so vibrant. And, just because of one issue, there was this particular case, the trigger was her marriage. She was not enjoying her marriage, and it's so sad when the person that is supposed to be your biggest leader is the major trigger, and you have the battlefield right inside your home. So she would call. In fact, it was ministry work for me, because within the next 30 minutes to 1 hour, I kept, encouraging her, trying to just make sure, she's encouraged. Sometimes she would call and be like, Sister Jumi, I'm going to kill my husband. And I'll be like, pray nothing happens to him, because I'll be the first person that will report that I know the killer of the husband. Sometimes she would call and be like, Sister Jumi, I'm going to kill myself. Kill yourself. I'm part of a pastorate. If your husband brings in another wife, I'll be part of those that will conduct the wedding. What will be your gain? So women, no matter what we are going through, own it, accept responsibilities, don't blame yourself, don't blame others, and decide to move on with it. In the area of career, the reality might be that you've been on the same job role for 5, 10, 15 years. Yes, it is true. But it might also be true that after NYSC, you've never updated your CV. It might also be true that, all through 2025, you're complaining there is no job, but you only applied once or twice all through the year. Own the reality and own your narratives. The narratives are the dangerous lies we tell ourselves. There is no job in Nigeria. There are. You only need to position for them. Or, I'm, too old to make a switch. I'm too old to continue. In the story of my ICANN victory, I didn't mention that while I was writing ICANN, I started from intermediate level. My dad was writing foundation. My dad, aged, he really wanted to do this exam. He couldn't. It was influential to me studying accounting. And when I qualified, it was like his own win. But he never gave up. At a point, we were attending the same tuition house together. And I felt, wow. So how old are you that you feel, age is a barrier? Age is not. Relevance is. No matter how old you are, as long as you're still relevant, no matter how young you are, if you're no more relevant, then you're as good as aged. Another thing we tell ourselves is that maybe I have children now, so it's too late. The economy is bad. Learn to change, have a mindset about the narratives, and decide to move. Decide to move. It's a different thing being aware that, yes, this is what is happening to me. You have to make that decision to learn again, to try again, to start small. And when you do that, moving from owning it, you need to close the gap. In the area of career, your knowledge, your certificate may expire, but your knowledge is there.Maybe you need to upskill in some areas. I'm an accountant, but I don't joke with AI. Technology is not for young children, no. Everybody, you can always use it to your advantage. At my current place of work, when I wanted to join them, they told me I would be the only person in the internal audit work, because it was a startup function, for the next 1 year. Initially, I couldn't say yes because I'd always worked in teams. Everybody do your job, manager, the supervisor. So they told me I would be alone. And this was a new company. This was a new industry, renewable energy. And because of the OOE that now, I said yes. We always say we could walk on the pressure. And I came into the role, and initially it was not easy. I wanted to run away, but I stayed therein. And what helped me was my knowledge of, AI. It could be ChatGPT. I subscribed for the pro version. ChatGPT was my assistant. Because there's a way you can learn how to use these things to your advantage. Not just giving them work to do and copying verbatim, no. So I learned it in such a way that, even though, fine, even now that I have a team member working with me, some of the work he did, I might ask him to do something, but at the background, within 5 minutes, I've done what I asked so that I could be able to cross-check and review if he did, the correct thing. And, after owning it, closing the gaps, your LinkedIn profile is very key if you're in the career space, because some of us are very competent, we're very talented, but we are not visible. Update your career pages if you need to attend events, just like you've done now. Yes, you're living here, not the same person you came in as. If you need to learn other skills, digital marketing, project management, for some people it's communication skills. Just identify the gaps, close it or fix it, and grow at it. That's the last move, grow at it. Grow at it because you need to be disciplined, you need to be persistent. Now that you're aware of what to do and you've identified the steps to close the gap, make sure you stay at it because just like one of Ronke said, make it, a lifestyle. One-off will not resolve the issue. And, at the end of all this, while pursuing your career goals, your career, moves, make sure you take good care of your health. Take good care of your health because you can only, advance when you are in a good shape of mind. There was a time in my career I had a major setback. I didn't know what next to do. I was deep in debt. I was depressed because after that, work issue, 6 months later, my dad passed. So many things. It was like an avalanche. And I found myself in depression. I was, I was just, very down. And what happened was that, it so happened that even at night, sleeping beside on the same bed with my hubby, I would get up, cry my eyes out. It was with tears and composure and sleep back again. My hubby wouldn't know what happened. When I'm alone, I would start, crying. Yes, sometimes I prayed. And I noticed that there was a time I was praying. It was so heavy on my heart. I was crying. Then it got to a point, with my 2 hands, I started scratching my head. And the first time it happened, by the time it happened again, I had to caution myself. I had to call. You need to talk to yourself when you're going through some life issues that could be so overwhelming. And I told myself, Jumoke, those people you see on the road with scattered hair, they are not normal. Don't switch. I almost lost my mind. And it was as a result of this career, different things that happened in the office which I couldn't control. There was so much noise about my role, and I knew this was not me. And I took a leap. I almost lost my mind in the process. So dear women, we've heard so much since the beginning of this program. And the very last but not the least point I want to state is the God factor. I'm a Christian, and I believe in the power of that, higher power than what we can achieve. above all your goals, all your plans, all your strategies for the year for your career, put everything in God's hands, and it will always help us out. So with these few points of mine, I hope I've been able to help you, as in provide some moves for you to follow in order to refire and advance. Thank you.